Right now, there is more panic in Donald Trump's White House than ever before because today was Epstein bombshell after Epstein bombshell, and Donald Trump has stayed silent. We remember that when the Wall Street Journal's first piece originally came out, Donald Trump was posting into the night, but today it's been crickets, except for the cleanup crew that has to try to fix Donald Trump's mess. But Donald Trump didn't send out the A squad, the B squad, the C, or the D squad. He sent out the F squad, and the F stands for Freak Out on Fox, and the man to do it was Stephen Miller, who completely imploded in a meltdown that we're going to get into. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into Stephen Miller's complete implosion, we got to start with why he was imploding, and that is partly some of the Republican cover-up that happened in Congress, and Jasmine Crockett calling it out right here.
I mentioned that what the attorneys for the victims have been very clear about. I'm just repeating what is common knowledge and has been out in the public for a long time. President Trump was never a hindrance to the Epstein investigation. He was trying to assist in that. I don't know if I used the right word. I said FBI informant. I'm not sure. I wasn't there.
Is that common knowledge about President Trump trying to assist in the Epstein investigation? Have you seen any evidence of that?
That's the first time I heard of it. So I'm going to say no. I don't have any documentation to that effect. And I was able to sit down during the Bill Barr deposition. I don't recall the former Attorney General stating anything to that effect. I can't say what all he said, but I don't remember anything that would lead me to believe that he was informed of anything like that. So no, I would not say that. And we know that Bill Barr was the Attorney General, at least at the time that Epstein ended up dying. And so I would imagine that he would have the information as it relates to who the informants were and that kind of stuff. And I can just tell you point blank that it never came up that the president somehow was an informant for the FBI.
The idea that we were going to buy the lie that Donald Trump was an FBI informant trying to take down Jeffrey Epstein, and that's why they were best buddies, not just the fact that Donald Trump is a vile human being who likes to hang out with other criminal, vile human beings, is laughable. It's as laughable as this idea that Donald Trump doesn't doodle or doesn't have a ridiculous signature that he always signs with black Sharpies. That is exactly what Donald Trump does. That is exactly what Donald Trump does very publicly. You don't have to be some forensic scientist to tell that the big Sharpie Donald is probably from Donald Trump. But that is the lie that the White House is trying to spin right now. And before we get into the lie that Stephen Miller tried to spin, I think it's only fair to see Jasmine Crockett debunk that.
I mean, it's hundreds of names, as you know. On the drawing itself, the White House has denied that the drawing existed. They denied that it was Trump's signature. Tonight, they are denying it, saying that releasing it is proof that it's not his signature. I mean, we showed, obviously, examples that mirror it. What do you make of the White House's defense here?
The fact that the president is a liar. I mean, he's consistent. I mean, that's all I really got for you. I mean, you know, here's the thing. We got this from the Epstein estate. This isn't something that came from a random Democratic something. This came from the estate. And so,
because basically that would mean that someone had to forge this.
Correct.
Years ago. It didn't come from Democrats.
Exactly. That's the whole thing. Like, before he even got elected, remember when Epstein died, right? That was before Donald Trump got elected this time. And they would have had to have some kind of foresight that he was going to run for office again, somehow win again. And we've got to make sure that this is sitting here so that when a committee comes through to get this, then it's crazy.
Do you agree?
It is almost laughable, I'd say, to try to make your major defense of one of the worst presidential scandals we have ever seen be, I don't write like that. I don't draw that way. That is such weak sauce. That is not even an attempt at an argument by the White House because they know they have nothing. But also, they think MAGA's pretty stupid. They think they'll just buy it, and largely they have, but there is enough of the Donald Trump voter base that is fed up. Go to Truth Social. I know you never want to, but tonight you do because they're ripping Trump to shreds. And that is why Stephen Miller was screaming on Fox, and what he had to say right now during his implosion, oh man, did it backfire.
A run by Democrats. Look, this has become their religion. Celebrating criminals, celebrating predators, celebrating illegal aliens who prey on our citizens.
The Democratic Party, says Stephen Miller, is the party that celebrates predators. The Democratic Party, the ones trying to make the Epstein list public, the Democrats who want to get justice for the victims of one of the most well-known predators in American history. Both Epstein and Trump, I guess should say, be included in that, were the ones, Stephen, This is what a complete implosion looks like. This is what a total collapse on air looks like. Stephen Miller, right, the little propagandist that he is, with his ugly-looking suits, knows that the one rule that the Trump administration must follow is accuse your enemy of that which is true of you. And Donald Trump was best friends with a predator. Donald Trump himself is a predator. And so Stephen Miller has to make that accusation against the Democrats who are beating down the door of the documents that they are actively shredding right now to cover up this cover-up's cover-up. There's three. It's a double-stacked, layered cake of cover-up. It is like what is it, like a flan of cover-up? I don't know what flan is exactly, how it's layered. Any chef, please let me know below. I think there's layers. But it doesn't matter. What matters is that Stephen Miller and Donald Trump just can't escape this, especially when Jasmine Crockett keeps calling him out right here.
Oh, yeah, they were boys.
They were boys.
Like no question about it. I mean, he's the only one that's trying to kind of throw it out there and say, oh, no, it's a hoax. And no, this is Democrats. And no, he didn't say that he was a CI. But we had this
confidential informant.
The speaker told him, no, he the one that, flipped on him. Well, how can you flip on somebody? Even though I know he's run that back. But literally, the fact that he even thought that he could, the only people that can ever flip on somebody are the people that are closest to them.
Right.
Period. Right? And so, this idea that he wasn't close to him is crazy. But I do think that it's going to be so important for us to really dig in, because what we are ascertaining is, number one, there were lots of modeling agencies that were doing things, and the modeling agency was basically a farce. And there's a lot of people that we want to talk to, and a lot of these models came from foreign countries. I'm just leave it there.
Anyone specific?
I'm going to leave it there, but I am trying to dig on a certain thread, for sure.
So that begs the question, and these new Epstein documents, is that part of your digging in and sort of unpacking a lot of that kind of information to sort of connect bigger dots to the dots
absolutely. So here's the thing. Obviously, this is concerning to have a potential pedophile as a president. That is concerning, right? But this is even bigger than him. I want people to understand the information that we were given about foreign governments and their participation, the information we were given about our own federal government and how high of a level we're talking about as far as them being in cahoots. We know that JP Morgan Chase ended up paying out a large settlement because they basically kind of looked the other way as there were these ridiculous wire transfers that were going by. We know that there were fake corporations that were set up. We know that, or at least we've been told that there were fake immigration documents that were put together so that women from other countries could end up over here. We know that there were allegedly fake marriages. This goes and it reeks through every single level of government. And it's one of those reasons that these survivors have been quiet for so long, right? Because literally they would walk in and they would see these pictures of Epstein with all of these powerful people from all over the world. And then he would threaten them and say, if you say anything, just know I know everybody, right? And so I think if we are going to prevent Epstein 2.0, or if Epstein 2.0 is taking place right now, I think it's important that we nip this in the bud right now and we learn what we did not know and we put some safeguards in place to prevent this type of thing from happening.
Because you're coming to this not just as a member of Congress, you're coming to someone as someone who has actually prosecuted cases. You understand how to build a case. I wonder, given that we're talking about a series of documents, some of which have been released, some of which have not, but also people who can offer information like Alex Acosta, who can tell us what went into the decision behind that sweetheart deal. As you begin to build a case, do you see the most value in the documents, or do you see the value in sort of these people who can give you firsthand testimony about what it is that happened and what it is you should be looking for?
I think that to start the case, it's the documents for me, right? Because, I tell people all the time, I bring receipts, right? They are irrefutable. So when we start to talk about things such as it's about following the money. Mm-hmm. This is a big money situation. So, how are you going to refute this, right?
Transactions are transactions.
Exactly.
They're recorded, yeah.
Exactly. And so, to make it to where this is not political, to make it to where it's literally just getting down to the nitty gritty, for me, it starts with the documents. Remember, the president has said, this is a Democratic hoax. And then we know that we heard from at least one survivor saying, listen, I voted for you. I trusted that you really wanted to get to the bottom of this, which honestly, if you're not involved, then why would you then kind of want to sweep this under the rug? So for me to get it kind of out of the political realm, I would actually want to start with the actual documents, such as the birthday book. It is what it is. Bro, you said there was no note to your homeboy, and we've got it, and it's kind of icky, as well as, who wrote that? Seriously.
What
it's
did you
second grade level.
What did you all discuss in the meeting today? Where do you go from here?
So we talked about like our upcoming hearings. We have a big markup on DC. So we've got to deal with all the bills that are about to come through and come up with our strategy on that as well. But basically, we were kind of getting a rundown of like what's happening next. Like we've been able to get some of these documents. One of the ones that was not shared by y'all, maybe y'all shared it earlier today. It's also kind of this picture, and it talked about the $22,000. And it basically says something to the effect of buying. It alluded to buying someone who had basically run their course. Like
A person.
a person,
Yeah.
a woman.
We have not.
Democrats shouldn't for a second let up off this message, especially as Donald Trump and Stephen Miller continue to squirm, continue to try to get out of it, but they can't. So let's hammer them and hammer them and hammer them every second of the day on this scandal. Because this isn't a political moment. This is a moment for justice. So talk about this issue like a normal person, Democrats, please. Jasmine Crockett will show you how. Ro Khanna can show you how. Robert Garcia can show you how. Because this is a moral moment. And if you can't understand that, then you're probably a Republican. And if you can articulate it, make sure you're doing that every second of the day. We're going to be doing that on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button. Leave